from Missouri Enterprise, the Show Me State's manufacturing experts. We're proud to be partnering with AIM, Associated Industries of Missouri, to bring you this webinar on how you can enhance your company's marketing tools. President of AIM, Ray McCarty, will moderate the session and serve as the voice of the business community. He will be joined by Stacey Marler, Missouri Enterprise's tech expert who has developed marketing plans, websites, and SEO projects for countless companies, helping manufacturers especially get their products out on the web and into the hands of customers. Following the presentation, we will open the chat line to answer questions from you. Simply type your question into the chat and Stacey will answer them live. You are, of course, free to share this with any member of your team, and if you have additional questions or want to learn more about these marketing tools, simply visit MissouriEnterprise.org. Here's Ray and Stacey with more.
Stacey, thanks for being here today. So we're here to help these smaller manufacturers that don't have a marketing department figure out how they can do marketing better, right? And because often these small manufacturers are trying to compete with big manufacturers who have a marketing department. So what do you hope that manufacturers will take away from today's presentation?
Well, the key thing is a lot of people, it's just starting. That's what a lot of people struggle with is they see a cool tip or trick and they never do anything with it. So I just like somebody just to start, no matter how small it is, you got to start somewhere.
Right, makes sense. So why is it so important for manufacturers to be involved in marketing, in particular manufacturing? Why is that?
That's a big subject. Everybody thinks they're different in the world, but in manufacturing, it's no different. Mm-hmm. I kind of try to throw back to how people can relate to things. It's kind of like dating, right? So we all dated, or most likely in the past. And what do we do when we want to date, right? We go get our hair cut. Right. We go to the gym, want to lose 5 to 10 pounds. That's me. I need to lose about 20. But anyway.
30 years.
So we're trying to get our appearance correct,
right.
And before we actually go out and try to find somebody to date. Mm-hmm. So it's no different in manufacturing. You want to present your brand, your company, your product in a well fashion so people recognize it and want to engage with you. Now, another way I try to tell people is if you're driving a new town and you see 2 gas stations on both sides of the road, mm-hmm. One's new, fancy, and the other one looks like it's been there 50 years with no updates, mm-hmm. Which one are you going to pull into?
Right, that's a good analogy because we all do that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's smart. Well, what are some tips that we can learn here?
Okay. Yeah, so we're digging in. We're going to actually take a step back. So kind of items to remember. All these tools are great and wonderful, just like we talked about. But if you don't do anything after this presentation, you're just wasting time. There's no reason to watch this webinar technically if you're not going to do anything with it. So before we even do that, there's a couple things to talk about. Just to kind of keep in the back of your mind is you got to know your target market. Everybody's different. Just because you make widget A. It doesn't mean widget B manufacturer is going to market the same thing. They're 2 different worlds, or can be. So how you market to certain people are different. And we'll talk about some of that in this webinar. So another one to talk about is get a plan. We all rush in and spend a lot of time, waste a lot of money, and they just kind of randomly pick things to do. You got to get a plan together before you actually get going. It helps you save time and money and make sure you're on the right path to success. So the next item is time and budget. So a lot of people don't understand it takes a lot of time. Ray, there's no easy way around it.
Right.
It just takes time. You have to dedicate that time. Maybe it's every Friday you sit down for 4 hours and work on content. You can work on blog posts. You can work on your website. You can work on social media, email campaigns, but you have to dedicate that time to be successful.
So you're suggesting that someone actually make time in their schedule to focus on it. And I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
I had someone tell me one time in our business, we're in the association world, so we're trying to attract new members all the time, new member companies. And he told me something that I haven't been able to implement yet, but something that he implements, and that's like every Friday at 3 o'clock, he has a list of people that he has to call.
Yeah.
And that's his deal. He calls these people every Friday at 3 o'clock. That's his time that's set aside for his marketing.
Yeah.
And he does it.
Yeah.
And his staff keeps him on track and holds him accountable for it. That's something that really do be good if I could adopt that. But that's what you're saying, right?
Correct,
Is you
yeah.
should create some time to actually to invest in this very important function for your company.
Yeah, we actually take it a step further. We call it leader standard of work, where we actually sit down and structure your week. So, you know, maybe Mondays from 8 to 9, you're approving the employee time. From 10 to 12, you're working on project work. And on Tuesdays, you're doing something else, and you kind of have a structure for your week. Doesn't mean you have to, you know, 100% follow it, but you at least have those time frames in there. And your employees know, like, from 8 to 10, Stacey's working on marketing. Leave them alone. So,
Right. Oh, that's smart.
so kind of another side note on that, but it's not part of the presentation, is notifications. We all struggle with that in the world.
Yes.
So turn off all your notifications, turn off email, put it on your table or in silent mode, and just forget about it.
It's
And
so
get-
distracting.
Yes, it
you know,
is.
you get it, and I'm the worst. I use calendar. I put calendar appointments in just so I can have my to-do list for the day
Yeah.
with some kind of reasonable chance of getting it done. You
Yeah.
know, and then so I'll be in the middle of one project and it'll come up and remind me that I'm supposed to start another when I could have just waited, you know, a few minutes. So that's good advice too.
Okay.
You also mentioned budget.
Yeah, so budget, that's a key term. We actually do I do business plans for a lot of companies, startup companies. And they actually, they never think about marketing.
Nope. And if they do, and times get tight, one of the very first things they cut is marketing.
Yeah. So it's like, well, what's the coolest CNC machine I can, you know, buy for my money? You know, what tools can I do? But
Right.
marketing is never thought of until the very end. And like you said, it's the first place to cut. And I kind of think that's the opposite approach we should be looking at. So all around consistency is the next bullet point. So that one is, if we're going to do it consistently. Is it every day? Is it every week? Is it every month? That depends on your target market and how much engaged and what platforms you're going to use to do marketing. But it also follows in branding. So that's another thing with all these smaller companies is brand. It's not just a logo. That's what a lot of people think branding is, but it's a message of who your company is. It might be the colors you use, the fonts you use. It could be anything. It could be where the branding is what people think of your company. There's a lot of examples out there in the world. We could dig into that, you know, for a long time. But
Well, let's use one. So you see a smile with an arrow. What is
right,
that?
yeah, it's Amazon.
It's
right?
Amazon.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
know, every time you see that smile with that arrow, you know that's what it is. And the fonts that they use and the colors that they use, when you see those, even if it says something else,
Yeah.
you see that symbol, you know that's them.
Correct.
Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
consistency and branding. Yeah. So a lot of companies that I've worked with, they don't even have a logo yet, or they have all these hodgepodge logos that confuse people when they see them, and that's important. Just like your logo on your shirt,
Right.
Instantly I know what that is. So
Right.
it's a nice brand in
Right.
a red color, and it just really works for you.
And we do that. We try to make sure on our website that we use the same colors that are in our
Yeah.
logo and that kind of thing. That it took me a long time before I even realized that was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
They're important.
And it should actually follow through with your brochures, your postcards, your email. All that should work together. So,
Good advice.
all right. So next bullet point is measure and react. So this one's critical. We're going to talk about some tools, how to measure if you're being effective or not. But that's not, everybody wants to see the numbers, but that's not the final answer. Is how you react to those numbers is really the key.
Right.
We all see these numbers and stats and KPIs out in the manufacturing world, but just because I made 1,000 widgets today, is that good? I don't know, right? So if I didn't make 1,000, what do I really need to do to make 1,000 and react to that number?
And what's your benchmark?
Correct, and that's what we're going to talk about with some of the tools we're going to show.
Okay, great.
So the last bullet point, which we kind of already hit on, is it takes time. Just being honest and out front. There's no silver bullet out there. Just because you say, I'm going to be on Facebook, doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Like I said, you have to be consistent. You have to put the time and effort in, and it just takes time. There's no easy answer around it.
And you want to make sure if you're an older guy like me, you're just warming up to all these newfangled electronic things that you don't make yourself look stupid either.
Well, yeah, of course. And, the key is be patient. It's just not an overnight success whenever you create a website. A lot of people think, oh, I create a website, that's all I need to do. And that's totally wrong.
Constant maintenance.
Yes, there's a lot of moving parts that need to be done. So, all right. So before we get into the tools, let's talk about little rules on the tools is kind of what I call this slide. So one thing, Ray, is there's a lot of tools in the toolbox. Just like you go home, you got all different kinds of sockets, all kinds of different wrenches. We can use a lot of them, or all of them, whenever we're repairing our vehicle or working on a machine or whatever.
Right.
But we only really need to pick a couple to be successful, right?
That's right.
So that's, a lot of people want to dig and experiment with all these tools, and that's kind of the wrong approach. Just like I said before, we need to make a plan and kind of follow that plan. But we only want to pick a few tools and really dive in. So a lot of people, they'll open up whatever tool they're using and kind of see, ooh, that looks overwhelming or hard to use, and they turn it off and go try to find another tool. My recommendation is find a tool, dig in, and start trying to learn. And of course, you got all different kinds of videos. YouTube, it's a wonderful resource for a lot of digital tools. So I highly recommend. It's like I said, time. You just don't instantly know how to use Google Search Console. It's very not user friendly. So you have to research and learn and be open-minded to learn on how to do that. So, and YouTube is a very good tool to find that kind of information.
You can find almost anything on YouTube now.
Oh yeah.
How to repair cars, how to do this or that. Yeah, it's great.
And it's actually the second biggest search engine, which Google's #1 first right now. So besides Google, people hop on YouTube and start searching. So we talk about video in this a little bit. So we'll talk about a tool to help you with video stuff.
Great.
All right. So like I said, just pick a tool and dive in. That's one about, if any takeaway from this webinar is that. I mean, be open, take a tool and just run with it and keep going. You'll get results eventually.
Great.
So last bullet point is don't be too social. That's kind of so there's a lot of people that go, I'm going to start a new product. I'm going to go put it on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, website, Snapchat, TikTok. They put them on all these platforms. We can't manage, as a small person, you can't manage all these platforms successfully. So I kind of try to preach quality. A lot of people want quantity. There's two different scenarios there. And I think it has to be quality for somebody to actually look at it and want to click and read it. So we're going to
I'm the guiltiest about that.
Yeah.
So I'll get, when we started, we had LinkedIn and Facebook, and so we had it set so it would update. And thankfully we did this. We set it so that every time we updated an article on our blog, it would go and automatically post to those platforms. But when I first started, I would go out and start this. In fact, I think I've got one now. I've got a LinkedIn group out there. I haven't put anything out there for months. Yeah. Well, that's totally ineffective, and actually it's counterproductive, because from a marketing standpoint, it looks like I don't know what I'm doing, which I don't. So that can really work against you if you try to do too many of those platforms. What you're saying is focus on the few that you think are most effective for your customers, right?
And just like I said before, know your target market.
Yeah, right.
So where are they living? Are they living in Facebook? Are they living wherever, Instagram?
And I'll tell you, that's evolving, because I know when companies first started talking about Facebook, our customers are businesses. And my thought was that a lot of businesses probably wouldn't want their employees out there looking at Facebook all the time. And boy, has my mind been changed. It has, because now they're out there looking at what their competitors are doing, and so they're going to see your stuff at the same time. They're also promoting their products out there. So I was completely wrong on that. That was something that I had to change my mind real fast. That and Twitter. Twitter is one of those things I kind of got into just because there was information I could get there that I couldn't get anywhere else. That is probably not the best platform for us, because it just There's too much information.
Yes.
All the time.
Yeah, that's what I said. Know your target market and measure and react to it. So if Facebook isn't working for you, maybe that's not the right place for you. So you should have did a little more research and finding out where your target market is. Maybe it's a survey. Survey your customers, find out where they're at.
Right. That's good advice.
Yeah. Kind of one more point to that. We'd all talk about social media, right? So social media is always evolving, always changing. The rules change quite a bit, quite drastically. Facebook was a great place for a while for a lot of reasons. And then they can flip a switch, change the rules on you, where businesses aren't able to, if they make a post, it don't automatically go to all your people that's following you. So it's always changing. There's a new evolving social media platforms. Like, I know TikTok's controversial for different reasons, but that's where people are interacting. The boom of TikTok is crazy. Actually, I was at a food safety class, and I was talking to a client of ours, and I said, "Hey, you ever tried TikTok?" He goes, "Oh man, best thing ever we did." He goes, "We've got so many views. We've actually had people coming into our place and buying stuff, and they say, 'Hey man, we found you on TikTok.'" So,
wow. That's one I've barely heard of.
Exactly, right. So, this is part of this webinar. Is the takeaway is it's always changing. There's always new tools. Get out there and do a little research and find out new tools and what can help you. So, like I said, TikTok has some controversial things with it, but if it's working for you, if that's where the audience is at and all the interactions happening, then maybe you need to be there. So, like I said, there's no silver bullet. So it's just getting out there and trying something.
Right.
And that's kind of what they said. He goes, "I hated being on video, but I went and tried it."
Right.
He goes, "I stepped out of my box," and he goes, "It's been really good for us." So.
Good.
So yeah.
Excellent.
So one of the key things for anybody before they get going is I literally preach this tool up and down. I'll help you set it up. If you're a manufacturer, get a hold of us. I'll help you. I believe in this 100%. Is Google My Business. A lot of people have never heard of Google My Business. It's been around for a long time, and people see it and they don't know even what it is. So,
well, I'm one of those people. So lay it on me, Stacey.
So when I search for Missouri Enterprise, or in this example, I have Busch Stadium. So everybody likes Cardinals. Well, or depends on how far north you go. You might like your Royals. So I kind of keep it relative. We're in the state of Missouri, show me state. So Busch Stadium, I search for Busch Stadium on Google My Business, shows up. And if you don't know it, Google My Business shows that you don't even know it's there. So what Google My Business is on the right-hand side in the red box is what technically Google My Business is. So if you search for Busch Stadium, you're going to get photos, you're going to get a map, you're going to get links to their website, a phone number to call them, you get reviews, you got even a question and answer section in there. All kinds of information that people don't know how to get to, and that's actually Google My Business. So another nice thing about it is completely free. So a lot of companies, this is already established by them, so somehow Google grabbed all their information and created all these Google My Businesses automatically.
So I've noticed when I look up a local restaurant, for example, it'll tell me the hours, it'll tell me if it's busy, and if this is a busy time of day or not for them. It'll show pictures, it'll have reviews and all that pops up at the very top when I Google that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, or on Google My Business is the right-hand side of the screen.
Okay.
But that drives a lot of other things in Google, and we'll talk about that here.
So you have all of your results over here, but then over here is all this other information. Yeah. I've seen that.
So you want to take control of that, no matter who you are, right? So people can actually write reviews on you, and you have no idea a bad review's up there or a good review. So you don't want a bunch of reviews bad, and you don't know about them. So if you get a bad review, you can't technically say remove this unless it's vulgar or some kind of thing like that.
And it could be your competitor downtown.
Well, yeah, you never know. Yeah. So there's no way to remove them. So you want to respond to them and maybe explain or give them a percentage off. have it removed.
And
or
I've seen
something
that
like
used very well.
Hmm?
I've seen companies that have addressed bad comments, bad reviews that they've received, and you can tell they pop on and they say, okay, we're sorry to hear that. How could we help you? You know, and we'll try this, you know, private message me or something. And the ones that do that consistently, you have a lot of respect for, because then as a customer, you're reading that going, well, even if I have a problem, then they're going to probably react and try to do something to help me.
It shows you're active.
Right, and you care.
Hmm. And if you didn't have Google My Business set up, you would not even know that's going on.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So how do we set that up?
So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So I'll just talk about a little more. So here's another slide of some more results. So it keeps on going down the page depending on what you put in there. So I actually now Google My Business has it where you can put your products on there. So say you sell widget ABC, you can put it on there, you can put a price range, give a description. You can actually add call to actions where they go to click to a site or e-commerce site. And then you can also put your events on there. So if you're having an event, it all shows up nicely on the right-hand side. So Google actually uses all that data also to populate other areas of different Google sites. So.
Wow.
So just like I was talking about before, Google My Business uses that data. So like this example here, in the red area, I searched for stadiums in St. Louis, Missouri. Well, you know, there's not a lot of stadiums, but just to show you, Busch Stadium is number 2 on the list. So the key for any company is to be in that visual list, right? So when's the last time you really ever clicked more places and looked through pages of other people, right?
It's very rare.
Yeah.
Only if I know that I'm looking for something and it doesn't show up in the first few choices.
Yeah, right. So you want to be in there, right? That's a visual. That's the first thing that shows whenever you search for an item. So if you're at the top, you know, kudos to you. That's great. I've helped actually quite a few companies. I actually helped competitors before, which, you know, they didn't know. And I went to the second competitor, and he goes, yeah, man, I noticed that company ABC, they're above me now. I just kind of smile and say, yeah, that's kind of odd. So, and then I helped them. So how Google is doing all that is pulling from your Google My Business page. It's also looking at your location authority is what we call it, which that's kind of a new term coming out. But what location authority is, it looks at your address on like Facebook, Instagram. They all need to match to be good. So even if you spell out drive on Facebook and you abbreviate it in another area, that's bad. So you want it to exactly match. If you spell out Missouri, spell it out everywhere. So make sure your addresses are correct everywhere you put.
And if they match. See, we have that problem here because we're on West Truman Boulevard. So many options
Yes,
there.
right, yeah.
W period and Boulevard is BLVD period, or spell it out. Okay.
So I can't tell you the right method, but just be consistent.
Do one and do it across all platforms.
Correct. Yeah. So you asked about how to get started with Google My Business. So it's actually an easy process. So you go to Google My Business. You can search for it on Google, of course.
And Google My Business.
Yeah, Google My Business. So also the image that I pulled here, the website address down there is actually where you get to Google My Business. I'm sure we're going to include all the links to this in the future whenever we're done. So you'll be able to get at all these tools that were mentioned in the description. So. So we basically go there and you basically manage your business. So you click on it, it tells you to type in the address or name of the company, and it goes, is this your business? You know, and you click it, yes or no, or you create a new business, and you just start answering all of the questions to it. It's that easy. So it works just like anything with Google. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So there's a lot of fields. Make sure you're filling it all in. So there's what kind of company are you? You know, so are you so a lot of people put I'm a manufacturer. There's predefined categories. Well, that's great, right? But there's 100 other options that you could be also.
Right.
So are you a textile manufacturer? Are you this manufacturer? So you want to add every one of those that are relative to your company. So a company that I visited and working with currently, they didn't, or I'm at the website review with them, and they go, Stacey, whenever you search for crane services, we don't show up whenever we search for it. I go, huh. Well, I just took over their Google My Business the week before, and I fixed all that for them. So I put in crane services as one of their items that they do. And I said, okay, well, let's just search on Google. So and I already knew the answer. So I searched for crane services in their city. Mm-hmm. Guess what showed up number one?
Wow.
Them, right? So how great is that? Just
That is
instant,
great.
1 week is all it took to show up in that search. So
That's amazing.
yeah. So immediate attention for anybody searching for that service.
We're going to have to talk later.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we can help you out. So the one kind of headache of doing this, I'll just be upfront, is the verification process. So it depends on how long your company's been in existence. So whenever you get in here and verify, they either want to call your phone, which they'll call and have an automated verification number you just enter in to show that that phone number is real. Or they'll send you a postcard in the mail to prove that address is correct. So it keeps it nice where not just anybody's out there throwing businesses up on Google. So they kind of have a way to confirm that you're real.
Cool.
So kind of examples of why Google My Business, kind of hit these quick. So take control of your business. We already talked about that one. You know, you have to take control. It's yours, right? It's your property. It's your image. Yeah, right. So it's your image. Show up on Google Maps. That's critical. People are using their phones and devices, and if you don't show up on the map, don't exist. Correct your location. So this is success story. We helped a company. Their map icon was actually at a funeral home across the town.
Oh no.
And they have a lot of trucks and trailers come in and out every day. And I said, he goes, man, can you fix this? I go, yeah, I'll look into it. So I looked, I got their Google My Business set up. And if you click on the map icon, you can actually drag the little red location device to the correct location. So a lot of people don't know this, and it's a big headache for a lot of companies in rural areas.
It is, especially in smaller towns. And I found this when I'm trying to go someplace to speak. Sometimes the address will take you completely to the wrong place.
Right, yeah.
So,
And
okay, so you can drag that pin then. You can drag that red pin.
Yep, the pin is what the GPS is using to drive you to whatever location.
Okay.
So I said, well, what kind of trouble is it? He goes, we have 10 phone calls a week on where we're located, because different trucks, different drivers. And once I did it, of course, it takes a little while to sync with all the Google stuff. And I asked him later, I was like, well, how many phone calls you get now? He goes, 0.
Wow.
So kind of wonderful, right?
Good job.
You know, less phone calls. And it's just, you know, consistency, right?
Right.
So it's kind of what we're after.
Great.
We talked about reviews. You know, it's a review world we live in now. It's Amazon, it's Google, Yelp,
And all of us do it. All of us look at the reviews and we're going
it don't
to
matter.
buy something.
Don't matter who you are, right?
That's right.
Photos. So you can upload actually photos. So you can take your team photos, your product photos, and you can all upload them nice and organized. And when people click on it, they see all these nice images of you. And what a better way to show people what you do with photos.
Do you recommend that people take staff photos and things and put them out there or not?
I do. I mean, I like to see who I'm going to be working with.
I think it adds an extra layer of personality to it.
Yeah. So branding, you can upload your logo, colors, you know, just like we talked about consistency. We talked about posts and events. That's a wonderful way to get information out. Voice control is starting to take over, right? So we all use Alexa and all these tools to communicate at home. So if I go, what's the nearest crane service operation near me? What do you think Google's going to do to try to find that? It's going to use its data, which is Google My Business, to research, and the top one is what Google's going to tell you. So voice is going to start taking a big step in the future. So
that really is. I mean, we just got Alexa shows in for us and our grandkids, and you know, it's really cool to stay in touch.
Yeah.
But you're right, and you probably just set off some devices when you said her name.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's why I kind of paused at first. We call it Amanda at home, so it don't go off. So
that helps.
So analytical data, just like we said, you need a way to measure, right, and react to it. So analytical data, you can do see how many phone calls, how many people search for you, what terms they search. There's a lot of data there to look at. And also, a lot of people don't know free website. So Google My Business, you can go, it takes all your data you entered, and you say, create website. And it literally tries to take your data and makes a website. Actually does a really good job. So,
Really?
for free.
Wow.
So everybody says they can't afford a website. Well, you can if you know, at least you can start, right? It's all
Right.
about starting. So
If you use their create a website, does it rank you higher on their search engine?
I don't know. So that's one of these problems with SEO is, right? So when they don't just say these are the rules and this is what
Right.
happens. It's best practices are out there.
So you mentioned search engine optimization is SEO, right?
Correct. Mhm.
So yeah, they used to have defined rules. Like the more links you put in there, the better, the higher you would rank. And I think aren't they starting to change some of those now?
So it's always changing. They just released a new algorithm out that actually had a lot of people scrambling. So, like I said, there's no set rules, but there's best practices. And SEO is a whole nother subject that we could
Okay.
dig in for a long time. So we'll talk about some SEO tools here in a little bit.
Okay.
So like I said, I preach Google My Business. If you do anything, do Google My Business and get it set up. And it's always changing and evolving. That's why I think it's so important. I've seen drastic changes in it from last year. So they're improving it, and there's a reason they're improving it. So hop on that bandwagon. Google Streetview is another way to help your Google My Business, or you can put it on Facebook or some other social tools. Google Streetview. So say you want to showcase your manufacturing facility, or you want to showcase your lobby so people know what it looks like when they come in. A lot of people think these 360 view things are a lot of money, or you have to have a special camera. All you need is this app right here, Google Street View, and it walks you through how to do the, we call it like a spherical panoramic photo is what it is.
Sure.
So you just literally take pictures of these orange dots, and you kind of look goofy while you're doing it, but it doesn't take long at all. So kind of show you, this is a couple photos from that 360. So whenever I'm on there my friend's Google My Business page, you can click this, and you can literally spin around, look up and down, all the way around.
I've used it before.
Yeah, it's a wonderful tool. You can instantly know what the place looks like and get good information from it. So honestly, it takes 5 minutes. You download the app and you start taking the photos, and you're done in 5 minutes, quick and easy.
And that's Google Street View.
Google Street View, and it's completely free. You'll hear Google a lot, and there's a reason you hear Google, because they're number one, right, in search. So that's why we use a lot of the tools in Google. So I actually, just to be honest, I didn't know about this until 6 months ago, probably. As everybody uses Google Maps if you have a Android, but what about if you're on Apple? So I think it was in 2012. That tells you how much I didn't know about it. 2012, Apple decided to make their own map program. So I don't know how they pulled all the data in, but your business might not be on Apple. So get on Apple, look on your maps, and search for your business and see if it does or doesn't show up. So if it doesn't show up, but just like Google My Business, you want to take control of it anyway, right? So Apple has a way to do it just like Google My Business. So you do Apple Maps Connect, and we'll have the link to that. So it's kind of the same thing. You have to verify and go through a little step, just answer all the questions, fill in your information consistently, and you'll be up on Apple Maps now. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm also an Android user, so I wouldn't have known that.
Well, yeah, so there you go. The only thing you have to have is an iTunes account, which is completely free too.
Right.
So.
Okay.
So we'll talk about a little bit of measuring. We talked about that before, how important it is. What is my baseline? I don't care what your numbers are. If they're 10 million
You need to know
views,
what they are,
you got to know what you are and where you stand. And from that day one, you set a baseline. So Google Analytics is typically website data. If you have a website, you plug all this in. It's a free tool, and it's a very useful tool. A lot of people, they pull up the dashboard and go, oh, that looks good. Or I'm down, or I'm up, but they don't react to it, and that's the biggest key is react. So if you're going up, why did you go up? what could you learn from those successes? And if you go down, what are those successes? So, or not being successful, sorry.
Right.
So this is an example of a company we helped out. So you're able to see a lot of data. So you can see how many users, how many views, all kinds of impressions. You can actually even get real life or real-time data. So the area in the blue, so if somebody's visiting your site, it'll show how many active users you have on your website. And you kind of can see some other data of it real time. So neat tool. So here's some other kind of data from it. It kind of just gives you some nice visual graphs. Also, it shows you the area that people are coming to look at your website. So the graphic in the middle is the map of the U.S. You can actually drill down. So you can go Missouri, and it'll show you a map of Missouri with hot spots of people's IP addresses coming to your website. So just like I said, know your target market, target audience. So if all your web traffic's coming from St. Louis, are you going to market in Kansas City?
You should.
Yeah, right. So you got to decide that.
Right.
So
you need to know
yeah,
though, because otherwise you're
just guessing.
blind.
Yeah. So make a plan. Right. Is kind of what I said before.
How detailed is that information? Can you get down and see like who is looking at your website, or
No, not that.
But you
not
can
that-
get generalized information,
Yeah.
location. Okay.
Yeah. We did companies before where they go, "Oh, I know who that is," because
Yeah.
it's such a oddball
Right.
company that doing something unique. They're like, "Oh, I know who that is. Look at our site."
Right.
So Google Analytics, another tool, wonderful tool, is you're able to see your page views. So you have a website with so many pages. Are they effective? Are people going to them?
Right.
If you
Or
don't
are they
have
so well hidden that nobody can find
Right.
them, which happens with a lot of state websites.
Yeah, that's another subject. But anyway, use this tool to see which pages are successful or not. So this is actually real data from a company that we just finished the website on, and we look at this. Of course, the web pages are grayed out, but each one of those lines are going to be an individual web page. So of course, typically your home page is going to be the top one, but it's important to know, well, where do people go after that? What are they clicking on? So this gives you a lot of that data. If you're having a page that nobody clicks on, well, maybe you need to revisit that and find out why it's not being clicked on. So another, just before we get going, is another tool that you can actually do in here is you can click on kind of like it's almost like a heat map. It tells you the activity of how people travel through your website. So typically they go homepage, then they click this page, and it gives you kind of like a hierarchy of how they travel through your website.
Whoa.
Kind of another cool tool, right? So data. It's data that we can use to react differently. So another Google, I'll be off the Google bandwagon here pretty soon, but Google has so many nice tools. The problem is they don't really advertise very well, all their tools, just being honest. So another cool tool is Google Search Console. So Google Search Console gives you a lot of data. So kind of like if you Facebook did a lot of marketing in Facebook, you can see how many times it actually showed up on people's screen when they scroll through. This also tells you how many people clicked it. So it tells you the click rates and a lot of other data. So just like before, you can see data on what people are searching for to get to your website. So more data, right? So what are they searching for? Is it a certain SEO term, phrase? And you can use that data maybe to rewrite some of your posts or blog posts or web pages to maybe attract more traffic that way. Or maybe it's search terms that you need to start using more throughout your site, or less. So,
Right.
So it's just good data to have, and you can see how many people viewed it, and also how many impressions it showed up on Google.
What does impressions mean?
So actually, say I search for manufacturers in Missouri. So say when you're scrolling through the pages, and you actually show up when they're scrolling. So it's an impression, but they didn't click it; they just visually seen it.
So it's exposure then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. So another key thing, a Google Search Console. I know we're getting in a little techie world. Maybe that's not where everybody is, but I just like to explain a lot of these things, and you can research it.
Well, I'll tell you, this
find
is very
something.
helpful
Yeah.
to me because I get these things, from time to time. You'll get these messages and say, is this your business?
Yeah.
I never knew that was legitimate. I always thought it was somebody trying to sell me something.
Right.
Had I known that it was really maybe to help augment that profile out there, I probably would have reacted to it. So this is very helpful, I know, to me. I'm sure
Okay.
a lot of others that are watching this, knowing that this stuff is out there and that a large portion of it anyway is free, right?
Yeah, yep, it's all free, Google stuff. So, Google Search Console, just to hit it real quick, is sitemap. So you create a cool website or a neat website. It has a ton of data. A sitemap, registering it with Google means like you're telling Google, hey Google, this is my website. Hey, come and look through it and organize it and analyze it. And it'll tell you errors if you have any errors. So it's good data to know. So make sure you register your website with that. So image creation, everybody thinks you have to have a graphic designer on staff. We do a lot of work with nonprofits. So here's some free, a little bit of cost if you want to do the pro version. So one key tool is Typorama. So a lot of graphics with text over it now. That's the trend. So with these apps on your phone, you can literally create a neat graphic within 5 minutes and post it on any media source. WordSwag is another one. Just an honorable mention out there. WordSwag, you put your image in there, you throw some text, and you can stylize that text to work any way you want.
Nice.
So you don't have to have Photoshop, which costs money. So these are all relatively low cost or no cost alternatives. If you want to create animated graphics, so like when you're scrolling through Instagram and you see some words coming in, it's an attention getter. Ripple is something you might want to look at. Ripple is another one.
So I saw an icon the other day that was animated.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a dog running across. It's odd because I remember that now. It was a dog running across, and that was their logo. It was like their logo. I mean, did they create that kind of thing through Ripple? Or is
I
that
doubt
another
it.
program? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I doubt it. But
It was the first time I'd seen an
Yeah, but-
animated logo like that.
yeah, but it caught your attention.
It
right?
did catch my
It's all
attention.
marketing, right?
Yes,
So
it is.
that's why we're here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So check that Ripple out, experiment. If you want to do that, dive in, right, is kind of what I talked about. So video editing. So we can create these videos. You don't have to have a crazy camera anymore. You can use your phone
Right.
and create these videos. But the thing is how do you edit them? How do you throw graphics on there? How do you color correct them or adjust it? Everybody, Adobe Premiere is one of the standards out there, but it costs money.
Costs money.
Quite a bit of money, actually. So I just found out about this probably 3 months ago. DaVinci Resolve, completely free. There is a pro version, but the completely free version is wonderful. You can do anything, pretty much. So wonderful. So is all I got to say. So check out DaVinci Resolve, and you should be happy. Email marketing. A lot of people still are email marketing. It is, we all have email. And some people do it good, some people do it bad. So actually MailChimp is a good, if you're starting out in email marketing and don't want to spend much money, they actually have a free version. And kind of some points of MailChimp free version, you can have 2,000 contacts loaded. So if you want to send 2,000 people an email, you can have that data loaded, create an email, and go send 2,000 emails, right? So the other thing is for free version, you can have 10,000 monthly emails. It has an email automation, has some templates. It even has a website builder. So just like Google My Business, you can create a website in there for completely free. So check that out. It also has all kinds of site analytical data.
Great.
Uber Suggest is one I've kind of stumbled on. It's not well known, but say you want to search what your competitor is doing. Maybe your competitor is beating you on website ranking or whatever. Or you want to know how to become better. So you can actually type in somebody's domain, so xyzcompany.com, and it'll tell you all kinds of data of SEO, keywords, their web pages, how competitive that is. It gives you a lot of data on how to react and maybe change your approach.
Wow.
So it's completely free. So another key term that you look at. So here's some kind of data from whenever you search. It does give you some information without any login, but if you sign up, completely free, and it gives you a whole lot more information. So I highly recommend just go ahead and sign up and dig into that one. So Google Trends is another one. So what do I create a topic on? So I'm a manufacturer, and I go, well, I don't know what I should write about, right? So Google Trends is where you can go to and find out terms that are kind of hot topics. So you want to be on those, if people are searching for it, you want to be clicked on and looked at, right? So Google Trends, you put in a phrase. So like in this example here, I did machining. So I just typed in machining. So machining is a broad term, right? So there's all kinds of different kinds of machining. But if you look at the bottom down there, it tells you topics on the left-hand side of what people are searching for by topic. Then on the right-hand side, it tells you the terms they're searching for. So like zero tolerance machining. I would have never thought of making a post on zero tolerance machining, but it's what people are searching for, right? So create a post on zero tolerance machining and teach people about it. Don't sell people your product, teach them. People want to learn. This is a great tool to find out and do research on what you should be writing about or what you should be creating a video on in the future. So that's all the question or all the stuff I have. So we can open it up to questions now and kind of see what other kind of questions. I know we hit a lot of the tools. That's what the webinar is about. We could literally spend hours on each one of those tools. But like I said, maybe this webinar helps people go, oh, I didn't know that existed, and maybe I want to go look at that tool.
I learned an awful lot. So I guess as a follow-up, they could always go to MissouriEnterprise.org. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, MissouriEnterprise.org. You can email me directly. Feel free to do that. Or catch us up on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We are on most of the social media platforms. So just reach out to us, and we'll get back in touch with you.
Excellent.